Buckle your seatbelts, America. It's about to get weirder. If you think one contested convention is confusing and chaotic, how about two? On the Democratic side, frontrunner Hillary Clinton is struggling to put away elderly socialist Bernie Sanders.
And on the Republican side, Trump is up but may not get to the 1237 in the delegate count that he needs. So can a new person get in at the last minute? Here to weigh in, Tom Bevan, the executive editor for RealClearPolitics.com. Tom, nice to see you this morning. You know, journalists have been salivating about this for a number of months. And then a number of people like Newt Gingrich have said this is not going to happen, this is not going to happen. But it seems like this could be moving in that direction. What do you make of this?
Well, it certainly looks like the odds are we're headed to an open convention. Nobody's going to get the 1237. I mean, Trump still has a chance, but given how things have gone this weekend, it's going to be tougher for him. It depends on what happens in New York and whether he can get over 50% there. But if we do get to that point, then, yeah, it's going to be amazing to see what goes on the floor of the convention, a delegate fight. And there would be the possibility, if Trump can't win it on the first ballot, if Cruz can't win it on the second ballot, the longer it goes on, the more you will see a push for either John Kasich or one of the people who ran this time, like Marco Rubio, come back, or the Karl Rove sort of fresh face scenario. That could be someone, you know, Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, some of the names that have been floated out there. It's still a slim possibility at this point, but it's growing a little bit more likely as we head toward convention.
In other words, someone who didn't even bother to run for president could be installed by donors and insiders as the nominee. Isn't that a guarantee of chaos? Isn't that a middle finger to voters? How is it not?
No, Tucker, look, I agree. I don't know that there are any good outcomes for Republicans at this point, because if it's not Trump or Cruz, they're going to go to convention with 80% of the votes and delegates. So even if it's John Kasich or Marco Rubio, for example, Republicans are going to be putting up someone who was not the choice of the Republican, the base voters. And it gets even worse if you go to someone who didn't even run, who didn't even stand during this primary season. So either way, I think it's going to be it could be a real bad outcome for Republicans.
We've been hearing about these unbound delegates and how the campaigns are trying to woo these unbound delegates. We've heard about the infrastructure, really, that the Cruz campaign has created to sort of go, sit down, have lunch, basically talking to them, trying to convince them to move to the other side. Who are these unbound delegates, and are they that easily swayed?
Well, there are a certain number of states, North Dakota, Wyoming, some of these other places, where about 200 of these folks who are unbound, which means they go to the convention and they can vote for whoever they want on the first ballot. About 95% of the folks who go there, though, are going to be bound to vote for a certain candidate on the first ballot. After that, they become sort of free agents, most of them, and can vote for whomever they want. And that's where Ted Cruz has really been sort of flexing his delegate muscles, trying to get his people installed so that if that first ballot fails, that he's able to have those people come to his corner on that second ballot. But the unbound people are mostly party folks. I mean, they are elected officials in these various states, and so they're not necessarily the kind of folks that would be supporting Donald Trump.
Right. Oh, for sure. But, I mean, at what point does this become bribery, potentially? I mean, if I say to an unbound delegate, if you vote for me on the second or third ballot, you know, I'll make you ambassador to Belgium if I win, or I'll pay off your mortgage, or you get a free membership in my golf club. I mean, at what point does it become a legal problem for these candidates, potentially?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tucker. I don't know the exact answer. I mean, I think they're certainly able to woo these folks. They're able to sit them down, talk to them, build relationships with them. That's what Ted Cruz has been doing. They're not able to necessarily walk in there with bags of cash and hand it over. Part of that, too, is, you know, before the convention even starts, there will be a rules committee, but there will also be a seating committee. And that's where I think if there's any sort of hanky-panky that people think goes beyond the ethical boundaries of what happens, those people could have trouble getting seated at the convention itself. And so that's where a lot of that stuff, I think, if there is any of that goes on that is sort of out of bounds, that will be resolved there.
Tom Bevan from RCP, a daily read for those in the know. Great to see you this morning.
Thanks, Tom.